What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Black Mirror, Season 4, Episode 5, Metalhead. That was my air guitar. I tried. I'd never, obviously. I'm actually really bad at air guitar. Also, I can't play guitar or air guitar. So, subscribe because I have no functional skill set. When you can't play air guitar, all you have left is a YouTube channel. After that, I think I just turned to dust. I don't know. So Metalhead is anyone could have made this. There are movies that are released every single week. That are these like sci-fi horror movies, like indie made things that are sort of made on the lowdown. We just don't talk about them. But if you actually sort of pay attention to all of the other titles, not the main ones that hit video on demand every week, you'll notice there are a whole bunch of them. Some of them end up going to Tubi, but there are others. Basically, this is this. There wasn't really anything here where I was like, oh my god, wow, thank you, Black Mirror, you really reinvigorated. The score was fine. I liked the score more than anything else. So what is Metalhead? I don't know. It's a great question. They didn't really want to explore it. This is one of those Black Mirror things where you're like, I could use more. If you're going to use the medium, I felt like Metalhead was either a movie, was either an episode that could have either been like 10 minutes or an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like it either needed to be shorter or longer, but the length at which it is means that they're committed to it, but they're not that committed to it. They're not committed to the point where they want to actually explain anything to you. And if you think like Black Mirror, if you're trying to say, well, like all things exist in the same, well, this doesn't make any sense because how could this possibly connect to anything else? There's been nothing that would show us that Metalhead is, that this is the world. So what is it? We see a car full of people. Is there a guy and two girls, I think, or two guys and a girl, two guys and a girl. And they are driving up on a facility to try to get something to help somebody back where they are. Medication or something. It's kind of vague. And they have, it's science fiction, it's dystopian future, so the technology is slightly advanced, and they have some stuff. They're trying to break into a van. One of them is trying to get into a van, and the other one is trying to get something from inside. And we see pretty quickly that the guy who's inside ends up triggering what is basically like a security robot. And that robot comes out and just like straight up decapitates him. So he dies pretty quickly, the first guy, but he alerts the others. So the girl who's in the original car that they drove and the guy who hijacks this van start driving, and they're being chased by the Terminator. Is basically the Terminator, and I mean, it is. So the robot chases him down, and eventually we'll get the guy in the van, decapitate him. That's how it ends. It's just quick about it. And then it hijacks that van and then drives that van into the car. I don't know why she stopped. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. I mean, she could see sort of what's happening through her, but she kind of stops and slows down. She could have put so much more distance between her and that robot. Anyway, but she kind of like stopped. She's like, wait a minute, the other car behind me stopped. And I was like, yeah, because he's dead. Keep going. What are you doing? The fuck is your problem? Anyway, I mean, if he's going to get there, he'll get there, man. Like, you guys both came from the same location. He has a car. If he's alive, he'll be fine, you know, but you gotta keep going because there's a Terminator behind you. And no, she doesn't. So she waits long enough so that way the car just kind of speeds up and runs into her, knocks her off the road, and then she somehow manages to save herself a little bit and from going over a cliff. But this robot also has the ability to embed like trackers, like tracking chips in them. So she also has to get this tracking chip out of her. And she's going to wander around the woods for a little while. And this thing is going to try to find her and try to track her down. Eventually, she finds like a house, and she'll break into the house. And, but like in a way that's not obvious. They're actually like a pair of keys that she manages to get and get into the house. So it's not super obvious. And well, it turns out some shit has happened, and this is where like it's like, can we have more explanation into this world? That would be great. Uh, the people inside have killed themselves, and they killed themselves a long time ago, so they've been like decaying in there. But she does take their gun away from these rotting corpses, so she has a gun, and whether or not that'll help her, we'll find out. And she keeps trying to talk to somebody on like a radio, but nobody ever talks back because she's, I guess these robot things can pick up on frequencies, which she admits in one of her calls. She's like, I can't stand for too long because it's probably trying to read the frequency. So it's like they know these robot things exist and they're out there, but they did this run anyway. So it doesn't really explain the run well enough for what it is that they need or why they need it. We didn't see there's nothing before it. It's just some randos. This feels like the opening cutscene to a bigger movie. You know what I'm saying? Like when you turn on a movie and you watch like some people go do something and it's like the first 10 minutes of the movie and everybody dies, and then like we start into the movie and then we get into the real plot of the movie and we meet the real characters. That's what this is. But for some reason it just goes on for longer than it should. And I didn't like it. Like this is one of the few Black Mirror episodes where I was like, no. So there's nothing really that we haven't seen before. The fact that I'm just like, well, it's like Terminator. And it does kind of, like my biggest problem with it is sort of answered towards the end. But then when it was like towards the end, I was like, but this doesn't make any sense either. So my biggest problem with it was I was thinking, so she's driven far enough away from the original site where that thing was supposed to be guarding, right? So that thing is some sort of security robot that is assigned to that place to guard it. And at the beginning, it's the only robot we saw that was guarding it. And so what would be guarding it then? See, the problem with it is that I was thinking the whole time, I was like, no, this doesn't make any sense because she doesn't have anything. She didn't take, like, there's nothing left. It would have picked up on the fact that she didn't actually have anything. There was like a empty broken vial or something that had nothing in it. So, it wouldn't just like, it would be out of range. You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, it has to still protect the place that it's supposed to be protecting. So while it might have killed the first two people, at a certain point, she would have been safely out of range because it can no longer monitor the place from which it came. So like somebody else, the way to do this would have been send in somebody to kind of distract it and get it to chase you. And then somebody else comes in, and once you pulled the bot away, you go in and steal what it is you need and then leave. That would have made sense. So, obviously the other person has a really hard time, but it's not until like the very end of the episode where they show you like other robots exist when she takes out this robot, and then it shoots, like a final little grenade of tracking chips at her. And so she gets embedded with a couple different tracking chips, and then she's like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna. So she talks to whoever on the radio and is like, I'm sorry, I'm not coming back. And we just see her take a knife to her throat, because she's got one that's embedded in her throat. She's like, well, this is probably gonna kill me. So Yeah, and then it just cuts to like other robots, and you're like, well, where did these robots come from, and why didn't we see them, and why weren't they participating? And I have so many more questions. So like their attempt to answer the questions at the end made me think like, are they all guarding them? Are is this the Terminator, the future? You know, where Skynet and then like the Terminator's like ruling the Earth, and the humans are. Do we just remake the Terminator? And like humans are living in some sort of colony and they were sneaking in and they just happened to run into a Terminator. I don't know. So because it feels like they kind of took a cheap way out of it a couple times, I ended up not caring for this episode that much. I didn't think it did much more than we haven't already seen in better movies. So this felt like the to be version of the Terminator, the Exterminator. I don't know, the whatever, but Metalhead. Um, yeah. So I'm rarely disappointed by Black Mirror, but this is one of the few that I would say disappointed me. It just, I don't know. And then it's like, what's the point of the tracking chip if this thing can still follow you? You know, it's like it. Does it smell? Like, what is it still following? Why does it have tracking chips? If she gets the tracking chip out of her, doesn't that end a anyway? So, um, food for thought in that. So, yeah, I would give this episode like a C. Black Mirror a C. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.